starred in 3 plays that became his magnum opus, Torch Song Trilogy. Unlike his earlier work with the Playhouse, the trilogy isn't a broad, freaky burlesque show, but it's no less queer and no less radical. It's a 3-part coming-of-age story that's centered on a gay, effeminate drag queen named Arnold. He finds love, loses it, argues with his mom, has an adopted son. Ultimately, it's a play about navigating grief and finding your family in a very grounded and realistic way. The queerness is undeniable, but what makes this work radical isn't cannibalism or genitals in jars. What made it so groundbreaking was that it depicted the lives of queer people so normally. Spoiler alert, Arnold lives at the end and never goes back in the closet. He isn't punished for being gay or for wanting a family on his own terms. His desires are not only vindicated, they're celebrated. This was very unusual for its time. Even though the American Psychiatric Association had removed homosexuality from the DSM in 1973, by the 1980s, the majority of Americans still saw homosexuality as something deviant or other. Being gay was considered pitiful at best and amoral at worst. This pervasive attitude found its way into the plays that Harvey grew up reading as a budding young artist. He even found it in plays that came from a gay perspective, like The Boys in the Band by Mark Crowley or Suddenly Last Summer by Tennessee Williams. And don't get me wrong, these are still great plays that center on gay characters and express true, valid experiences. But they still depict gay life as something tragic and self-loathing and lonely. Even the Rocky Horror Picture Show, one of the most joyful works of queer theater in history, still ends with Frankenfurter's death. Harvey knew that being gay didn't mean having to die alone or be shot with an antimatter laser. Throughout the 60s and 70s, he spent a lot of time in Manhattan's West Village, where queer people practiced free love and had a lot of fun. This, of course, changed when the AIDS crisis came about, but we will get to that in a minute. Harvey also met monogamous gay and lesbian couples who had settled down and been together for decades. And this was significant because it showed Harvey that family life isn't just for heterosexuals. Why shouldn't queer people enjoy the same rights and privileges as straight people? Why should they be denied that choice? Why shouldn't they openly, loudly fight for their rights? Why should Harvey wallow in despair? Because the straight majority told him to? Despair was never an option for Harvey Fierstein. He knew that joy was an act of resistance. Torch Song Trilogy was an off-Broadway smash, and after several performances and some minor tweaks, it finally opened on Broadway at the Little Theater in 1982. It won the Tony Award for Best Play, and Fierstein won Best Actor in a Play. Fun fact, Fierstein's producer, John Glines, was the first person to thank a same-sex partner in an acceptance speech at a major award show. Later in 1983, when La Cage aux Folles won the Tony for Best Musical, Fierstein was advised to not repeat Glines' mistake. He ignored this request and thanked his lover Scott in his acceptance speech. It's so weird to think that there was a time when the goddamn Tony Awards were worried about looking too gay-friendly. La Cage aux Folles is a musical based on a French play that eventually got turned into The Birdcage, which is one of the greatest movies of all time. But before Nathan Lane and Robin Williams had a crack at it, Fierstein was hired to adapt the French play into a Broadway musical. And like Torch Song, it was a critical and commercial success. It also gave us one of the greatest gay anthems of all time, I Am What I Am. Music and lyrics were by the show's composer Jerry Herman, but Fierstein's words were the inspiration for the song. It's been widely recorded, Fierstein himself has performed it, and at the 2016 Trailblazer Honors, the cast of All-Star Season 2 surprised Harvey with their own rendition of it. Some have said that Harvey Fierstein is the first openly gay actor-playwright on Broadway. I have a hard time believing that's true, but him being so open while being famous was a big deal back then. It was so mind-blowing to mainstream straight Americans that Fierstein had to go on TV and explain the most basic facts about being gay to Barbara Walters.
La Cage aux Folles says that, look, you can have a homosexual couple who love each other, who can live together for years and years, who can have commitment, who can have all the things that we have come to think of of as only heterosexual property.
Right. Well, those are not heterosexual experiences, and those are not heterosexual words. Those are human words. Love, commitment, family belong to all people.
Is it rare to have these kinds of long relationships?
No, it's the norm. It is the norm in the homosexual community. It is not the norm in what you see on the news. What you see on the news and what you see in print are the bars. I mean, the obvious things that you can shoot. You don't break into people's homes and shoot this happy lesbian couple that's been, the two of them have been living together for 70 years.
What's
Sure.
it like to be a homosexual?
I beg your pardon?
The way I would have flipped tables after the first couple
Are the bars. I mean, the obvious things that you can shoot. You don't break into people's homes and shoot this happy lesbian couple that's been, the two of them have been living together for 70 years.
What's
Sure.
it like to be a homosexual?
I beg your pardon?
The way I would have flipped tables after the first couple of questions, and this man answers them with the patience of my therapist.
You do ask the easy ones, don't you? What is it like? What's it like being a heterosexual? I don't know. I'm just a person. I'm a person who sees the world in the opposite light than you do. That's all. But I see the exact same world as you do. I assume that everyone is gay unless I'm told otherwise. You assume everyone's straight unless you're told otherwise. I see a beautiful woman on the street. I appreciate her as a beautiful woman, but not as a sex object.
Do you feel jealous of her?
Why would I feel jealous of her?
Because she might be after the same man, or he
No,
may be more attractive.
I'm not attracted to heterosexual men.
Harvey remained committed to depicting queer joy in his work, even when he had every excuse to be bitter and hopeless. In the 1980s, he saw many of his friends die from AIDS. He even buried the ashes of 3 of his friends in his yard. Our government and healthcare system actively harmed those with the disease. In Harvey's view, the heterosexual community at large had turned its back and let all these queer people die. For those of us who didn't live during the AIDS crisis, we've heard how awful it was, we've heard the horror stories, but we'll never fully understand just how nightmarish it truly was because we weren't there. Still, as I've said before, despair was never an option for Miss Harvey Fierstein. In 1987, he opened a new trilogy on Broadway called Safe Sex. The 3 plays are about people who struggle with intimacy, either because they've lost someone to the disease, are afraid to get the disease, or are surrounded by people who project the disease onto them. Healing arrives when they finally overcome their fear and embrace the other. It is a beautiful statement and a great piece of theater. Offstage, Harvey's advocacy was louder than ever, and he kept that torch burning in the years to come. On an episode of Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher, I know. Harvey sat across from Michael Reagan, son of the devil incarnate himself, and looked Reagan in the eyes and said, "F you and f your father." I have looked everywhere for this footage, but it looks like Disney has locked it away in the vault along with Song of the South and Goofy Tries Shibari. When Fierstein says that he's been in the struggle for LGBTQIA+ rights for 50 years, he's not kidding. In his memoir, Fierstein describes being 17 years old when the Stonewall riots happened in 1969.
Here was the community, standing purposefully in the light of day, demanding their place in the world. Hiding was over. Being second-class citizens was done. Intimidating us back into the closet was not going to work anymore. The revolution had been engaged, and even naive little me knew that retreat was unacceptable. The bandages covering our wounds of shame were discarded. We'd now heal in the light of day or bleed out.
Bars. I don't really have anything left to say in this section except for thank you, Harvey Fierstein. Unfortunately, this brings us to the beer of our Lord 2025, where the people who are like, why does the left have to make everything so political nowadays, manage to politicize everything that ever happens in life itself every day. From a global pandemic to people who wear wigs. And now a performing arts center with entirely bipartisan origins. In the late 1950s, then President Dwight Eisenhower helped back a Democratic-led bill for a national culture center. John F. Kennedy launched fundraising for the center upon taking office, and Lyndon B. Johnson signed a bill to rename it in his honor following the assassination. And her full name is the John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for the Performing Arts. So during his first term as president, Trump never really cared about attending shows at the Kennedy Center and pretty much never did. But upon retaking office, once his advisors told him that his involvement with the center could win him some more culture war points, that sparked the last two brain cells keeping him alive to take a more proactive approach to it. So, in his latest decision during his Legion run in Fallout New Vegas, he announced this on his own social media site, since his boyfriend is afraid of getting deported if he reinstates his Twitter page.
At my direction, we are going to make the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. great again.
Overdrive.
Immediately terminate most
Build your combo score to earn buffs. The leader dies.
do not share our vision for a golden age in arts and culture. Donald J. Trump.
Because he still refers to himself in the third person, like Kanye West, for sneaking
From all across our nation, for the Kennedy Center, the best.
RCXD action.
There's also this leaked audio that sounds like he forgot to put the
Establish Watchdog Helo on station above. Deploying Archangel.
Following these brain-dead rambles, White House press secretary and one of the four horsemen of the 8/5/11 apocalypse, Caroline Leavitt,
Deploying RCXD.
As you know, he's now the chairman of the board, where he business developer mind. I'm sure he'll make some
Yes, you are. His name is Richard Grinnell, and he served his first term, and who Germany criticized for, quote, displaying a lack of director of national intelligence in 2020, and is the first openly gay cabinet-level official in U.S. history, though he technically wasn't confirmed.
Yes, sir.
Secure the release of DEI hire for Trump to hide behind after banning Center 6 months. Now, the majority of these were autonomous themselves.
Single shooter. Another corpse.
Ben Folds and Shonda Rhimes, who resigned. Some cancellations were due to
RCXD moving out.
producers also pulled the trigger from the center themselves, to which Trump said he quote, but also like, dude,
Operating RCXD.
performances that were canceled, including the Gay Men's Chorus of DC, a peacock among pigeons, and Finn, and most importantly, a Pride celebration concert set for June. The Kennedy Center has stated that these decisions were made before the new takeover.
Sure, Jan.
But this is where our boy Harvey Fierstein comes in, finally. He posted this on social media, accompanied by a picture of him marching alongside the one and only Marsha P. Johnson at the 1979 Christopher Street Liberation Day Parade.
I have been banned from the Kennedy Center. A few folks have written to ask how I feel about Trump's takeover of the Kennedy Center. How do you think I feel? The shows I've written are now banned from being performed in our premier American theater. Those shows, most of which have been performed there in the past, including Kinky Booch, La Cage à Foile, Torch Song Trilogy, Hairspray, Safe Sex, Casa Valentina, Spook House, A Catered Affair, The Sissy Duckling, Bella Bella, and more. I have been in the struggle for our civil rights for more than 50 years, only to watch them snatched away by a man who actually couldn't care less. He does this stuff only to placate the religious right, so they'll look the other way as he savages our political system for his own glorification. He attacks free speech. He attacks the free press. He attacks America's allies. His only allegiance is to himself, the golden calf. My fellow Americans, I warn you, this is not how it begins. This is how freedom ends. Trump may have declared woke as dead in America. We must prove him wrong. Wake the hell up.
As always, pop off, bitch. Anyway, Richard Grinnell responded the following morning with this post on Twitter.
Hey, Harvey Fierstein, this is a total lie. Whoever told you this, because you obviously didn't do your own research, should be fired from your team for purposefully making you look foolish. I, too, have been in the fight for equality for decades.
Sure, Jan.
I'm the president of the Kennedy Center and the first openly gay U.S. cabinet official. I was appointed by Donald Trump Jr. to both jobs. You aren't banned. In fact, come to Hairspray or La Cage here at the Kennedy Center. This is your personal invite. Let's meet. If, however, you can handle diverse opinions and want to be inclusive of everyone, that is.
So, with that classic little bitchy Republican closer of throwing someone's statements back at them, let's break this down a bit. Grinnell went on to Hannity to discuss this further, and so I sacrificed just a few more brain cells in the name of research.
Thanks for having me. It has been a while, and it's great to be back here on Fox.
Okay, sorry, not to interrupt before we even start, but can we talk about how his eyes and eyebrows form a perfect Illuminati symbol? I can't be the only one seeing this, right?
We want common sense art.
Common sense art? It's giving Hays Code?
We want a Kennedy Center that is open to everyone, and what that means is that shows like Hamilton are going to have to allow Republicans to buy tickets.
I'm sorry, does he think the Hamilton producers won't allow Republicans to buy tickets? Like, I know Hamilton is one of the most overrated products of 2010's neoliberal cringe, but like, does he think you need like a liberal card to get in?
Lin-Manuel said, I don't want to have Republicans coming here. I don't want to be in a space where Republicans are coming to my shows.
No, he didn't.
I think that's intolerant. And that's one of the things that Donald Trump has really brought back into Washington, into America, into the Kennedy Center, is to say everyone is welcome. We're not going to cancel. We're not going to tell people that they're not welcome. Everyone is welcome.
So then he goes on to make the financial issues argument, as if all of these smash Broadway hits that all feature drag wouldn't rake in millions.
And so I said, let's do a big show celebrating the birth of Christ at Christmas.
Finally, some untapped ground. Cool. That was wildly unhelpful and did not address the issue with Harvey at all. So going back to Grinnell's initial tweet, if we're going to argue semantics here, which is what he is doing, yes, technically Harvey was never officially banned from the Kennedy Center. Nobody called him or sent him an email or letter or whatever to say, Sir Harvey Fierstein, you are hereby banished from the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. in the United States of America on behalf behalf of Lord God Emperor Donald Jessica Trump. And if anyone so much hears a whisper of that iconic gravelly voice, our knights in homosexual-proof armor will arrive to escort you off the premises. Let this be a grave warning to you, Sir Firestein, that in the name of tolerance, decreed by High Elf Richard Grinnell, your presence will not be tolerated. No, they didn't do that. I almost wish they did. What they're actually doing is far more insidious, which is why Harvey responded to Grinnell's tweet with this.
Radical right Rick, Trump's homosexual lapdog, claims that he asked me to bring Lacage Offal to the Kennedy Center. As far as I know, this is not true. Although Trump and his army of culturally starved followers would benefit greatly from seeing that particular show. With Trump's ban on drag, no way Lacage could be produced there. So I'd have to say Rick is fibbing. Nothing new about radical right Rick lying for the orange clown. To get Trump to appear at a fundraiser, it is rumored that Rick paid him nearly $250,000. As we all know, Trump is available to do anything for money. As much as Trump disparages such behavior, I wonder how much he'd charge to wear makeup in public. Oops. He does that for free.
So, Richard, my good bitch, is there actually going to be a ban on drag shows because Daddy said so? Or is the Kennedy Center, for the first time ever on RuPaul's Drag Race, going to finally be inclusive of diverse opinions? Which is it, Diva? Harvey is 10,000% correct when he says that Trump is just turning the Kennedy Center into another culture war battleground. But after doing some research and knowing the lucrative careers that both Trump and Firestein had, especially in the 1980s, I have a few theories as to why Trump really took over the Kennedy Center and why he's apparently hell-bent on banning drag and drag-related performances. 1. Harvey said something shady to Trump back in the 80s or 90s, and Trump has held a grudge ever since. 2. Trump knows about that video of him hitting on Rudy Giuliani in drag. 3. Trump initially banned Harvey Weinstein and then realized he made a grave mistake towards his constituency. 4. Trump is a tired old queen who doesn't want to share the spotlight with a fabulous old queen like Harvey. And 5. Trump is finally living out his dreams of being a Broadway producer. Wait, what was that last part? When we looked at Trump's post about sharing a vision for a golden age in arts and culture, he wasn't just talking about wanting to paint the Kennedy Center entirely in gold the way that they paint everything chrome in the future. And I know you were probably wondering, what vision could Donald Trump possibly have for a golden age in arts and culture? What does that guy even like? Does he even appreciate the art of theater itself? Believe it or not, yes, he actually does. Like, a lot. As a young man, Donald Trump actually dreamed of becoming a theater producer. He has frequently expressed wanting to bring more Broadway shows to the Kennedy Center. After assuming his new position as chair, he asked the rest of the board which musical is better, Phantom of the Opera or Les Miserables. The answer is neither. And I swear to God, this is a true story. During his first term as president, he actually had a dedicated White House official who he called the Music Man, wonder if that's a reference, who would play him his favorite show tunes to calm him down. Donald Trump loves musicals so much that apparently he wants to turn the Kennedy Center into the ending of Cabaret. What are his favorite musicals, you ask? He is especially a longtime fan of Andrew Lloyd Webber. He was very dismayed when Phantom of the Opera closed on Broadway. He called it ridiculous. He's a big Michael Crawford and Betty Buckley fan and has stated that he prefers the original Broadway cast recordings for soundtracks. There was one show he attended that he initially didn't like, but he had a change of heart.
I walked in, I saw all these bodies, and then I noticed those bodies were gorgeous. They had silk tights on, and they were all ballerinas and women from Broadway and men.
This show would go on to be his favorite musical of all time. The most frequent song he would listen to calm down was from this musical. And this show was Cats. His idea for a golden age in arts and culture is f***ing cats. Oh god. Oh no. Oh this is bad. This is very, very bad. We have to put a stop to this right now. Shut it down. Release the hounds. Drop the bombs. I don't care what it takes. We have to shut this the f down now. And it was after this incredible discovery that I realized something. And it's something I've touched on so many times in the past. This is yet another example of a bitter conservative figurehead not attaining the entertainment career they actually wanted, so they instead find a way to make it everyone else's problem. It's the same reason the Daily Wire started making their own movies with their island of alt-right grifter misfit toys. And I think it's why Trump took over the Kennedy Center. They can't attain talent, but they can attain enough wealth and power to influence all the clubs that they never quite made it into in the past. But it's official, my good bitches. We have proven knowledge that Donald Jessica Trump is, in fact, a huge musical theater. Here's the thing, though. I don't think Trump actually personally cares if drag shows are performed at the Kennedy Center or anywhere at all. He is literally a theater kid from New York City. I don't think he genuinely perceives gay and trans people as a threat, at least not the way that his voters do. His advisors tell him what to rile people up over, and he's just doing what he does best when he panders to the voters who have been entirely caught up in the trans moral panic. Once again, it's just another distraction for the Fell For It Again award crowd to think their lives are improving, even though the cheaper eggs they supposedly voted for are now $15 a dozen. As Harvey put it, this is all just to placate the religious right so that they'll look the other way as he savages our political system. Richard Grenell isn't just a Trump loyalist.
Team deathmatch.
He has
Destroy the enemy.
Fight for equality for decades. Unless that fight was for gay people to be Republican, because they thought it would save their souls. They think that if they prove to the right that they're gays or join the LGBT without the T crowd, somehow finds acceptance amongst other Republicans. Peter Thiel, and countless others do not understand. It doesn't matter if you're the most straight-passing, sexless, Dennis Prager-looking chunk of milk form on the planet. It doesn't matter if you're on Christopher Street in a midriff and
Never mind.
Against your basic civil rights inherently view you as subhuman. They do not see being deserving of them. That is why it's a self-apologetic yourself in a world that largely still views you as a lesser human being. And for the few queer people who actually as a positive thing, or the ones who think we don't need pride, do you really think they'll stop there? Do you really think it'll stop at just the Kennedy Center? This is just one more step in a larger effort for complete erasure. The National Park Service has completely scrubbed all references to trans people in its section about stoning. 127 and counting
Dad always taught us to make good on our debts.
States. The CDC has been instructed to pause or retract any and all research. List of words.
Enemy field upgrade active.
Government websites. Just take a nice long look at it. Fact check this because I didn't want to. Free speech crowd isn't just censoring any and all words that relate to race, sexuality, gender, or even science itself. Whipping the masses into basic coursework and efforts.
Enemy scout pulse detected.
Enemy resupply disrupted.
Hitting the folks who love to ask me in comment sections, do you even know
Everyone on me! Go!
websites? The Turks have been awfully silent about that one. Hirschfeld's Institute for Sexual Wissenschaft, that's the Americans out there, at least that's what some people here like to think. This is where some of the earliest sexually decided surveys took place, and it's intersex issues. In 1993, the entire library was burned in the streets. Sound familiar? Here's some Karens standing in front of a white women-only bathroom sign in
Eyes on Semtex!
She had
Nice. We're pulling ahead.
someone who sure all my jokes aside, Trump's vision for a isn't just the worst thing the world ever has to offer. This isn't actually
This shit ain't working.
anti-American propaganda is no from those Nazi book burnings to anything considered un-German. As I said in my last video, fascism seems to eliminate miserable, and that lives a TikTok girl looking like a dust bowl farmer.
Hostile field upgrade there.
And unfortunately, this is only the beginning. When Marcus says this is how freedom ends, he is correct. Fascism doesn't begin with concentration camps, even though we are quite literally already there. It starts small and erases and dehumanizes anything that challenges the
Marking
status
location.
quo. Just the other day, this freak posted
86 that.
now reclaimed symbol of what queer people were for. Book burnings. So, does Richard Brunel
Enemy with Semtex!
Harvey Firestein actually been in the fight for queer and trans rights for 50 years? My drag and radical queerness will be placated by that response and will believe you when you tell them you did the same thing.
We've taken control.
I've seen this kind of
Hostile shooter.
You better be ready to take it.
When Harvey says that he has been banned from the Kennedy Center, unless Grinnell damn well what that meant. And Harvey's words obviously end this on too much of a bummer note, because if there's one thing that's been keeping me going, it's that how and when. I think it's
Dead.
to look to our queer and trans these people are quite literally survivors. There was a saying during the AIDS crisis that went, bury your friends in the morning, protest in the afternoon, and dance all night. And it was that joy as an act of rebellion.
Moving with Archangel.
Darkest period of queer and trans history. Again, despair wasn't an option for Harvey Firestein, and it can't be for Is that any better? Is that less of a bummer? I don't know. Anyway, here are some winning comments from the last video. Card
I'll say this once. Do not fuck with me.
989 says, Schmadel, your little Dutch boy was not fingering the prize, and your little kid
Flashbangs.
little
We have the edge, but don't get cocky. This shit
Heads
ain't
up,
over.
crash. Confirming kill.
boring suits while looking like sleepy dads that Next video, comment below. I will pick my favorite ones and give you a shout out next time. But
Fuck.
let your name be featured at the end of every video.
God damn, I love this taste of victory. Hotel Sierra.
Hell of a job, crew. Someone pull us out so we can celebrate.
Protagonists, your name will be featured at the end of every video. Stuff like access to my Discord, scene content on how I make my win. If you love my videos,
Привет, old friend.
and get visibly frustrated in real time, please please follow me on Twitch. And if you would like to see even more of my fun work elsewhere, I don't really use TikTok anymore, but please consider following me on Instagram or Threads or BlueSky. My handle for all of the above is Queen Code Francis. Already, please produce and star in a Broadway show. Make it a true opening night to remember by going ahead and unzipping your pants and dick slapping those like and subscribe and notification buttons as well. I'm so close to 100,000 subs. I can almost taste it. Thank you again to Pinace for partnering with me on this video, and thank you again to all my patrons and subscribers who have helped my channel grow and thrive the way that it has been. And of course, as always, until next time, go look up Torch Song Trilogy for the reference.
Hard boys. You want to clear your name? This is where it happens. Hardpoint is secure. Lead's ours.
He's pretending. I gotta say that it's very surprising to me that Ethan Hello everyone. So Ethan Klein content youth against society.
Heads up! Thermite!
Not the hard point.
Rife with the same exact arguments that he has been making for like 6 months now that have already been refuted time and time again. But because he's just insulated.
Hardpoint identified.
Correct, and his opponents simply don't know how to respond.
Up to the hardpoint. Damn it, we've lost the lead.
I'm going to go over everything in it that is, you know, political, historical, stuff like that. But I'm going through more parts that I don't care about.
Hardpoint locked down.
Talks about, like, you know, whether Hassan's lifestyle conforms to his socialist ideals or whatever. Like, how much his dog costs and stuff like that. Look, man, I don't care about that. What I do care about is what Ethan Klein has to say.
Hostiles have the hardpoint.
I feel like I have to respond to him, and that is just ask back.
Hostile decoy.
Hardpoint is secure. Hardpoint located.
Why do the hurt feelings of like a Z-tier YouTube comedian matter to us?
Hardpoint is active. Hardpoint locked down. We got the lead. Now hold it.
That we should be asking ourselves. He does not know what he's talking about. Yet there is what a ridiculous joke, right? On top of that, like, that we should be responding to someone as if their opinion.
Hostiles captured the hardpoint.
Let's fucking go! Enemy pulled up right after.
Given a ton of ethnic privileges at the expense of Palestinians, and we're supposed to care.
Hardpoint is secure.
Feelings of like an American with German ancestry who decided to move to Nazi Germany in the 1930s.
Hardpoint identified.
Anyway, I am talking about.
Hostiles have the hardpoint.
Enemy Molotov incoming.
And we know think what they think of him. I.e.
Hard point locked down. Hostiles have captured the hard point.
Enemy planting mine.
Come on, you're losing this fight. Net call. Enemy watchdog helo inbound.
Enemy watchdog helo ahead.
Hardpoint is active.
Different location.
So I decided to do that, and if I don't like the second one, then I'll just find a way to get out of it. Yeah, I hated everything about it. I didn't want to do it.
Off them.
It felt like I wasn't doing anything. I was just wasting my life. It could get really so I filled out that.
Hardpoint identified. Hardpoint active. Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
It was kind of like just more of an adventure, more of an experience that I preferred.
Hostiles have the hard point.
Flash out. Flashbang set.
Hardpoint locked down. Hardpoint located.
Kind of more rewarding.
Sleep easy.
You're away from your house.
Hardpoint captured. Hostiles have captured the hard point.
It's hard to explain, but for some reason it's more interesting.
Hardpoint is secure. Hostiles have the hard point.
So I always saw them preparing for it and leaving, and then I would stay in the base.
Tally, mine.
So one time. I just wanted to see what it's like. They took me.
Hostile scout pulse in your AO. Hardpoint identified. Hardpoint locked down.
It's a gnarly armored jeep. So someone.
Captured the hardpoint. Hardpoint is secure. Heads up. Hostile care package inbound.
Everyone on me! Go! Oi, enemy grenade!
Did they bring it in the same car with you?
They're gone.
Head cannon locked and loaded.
Drawing hand cannon.
Hardpoint located.
Hand cannon. Prep and fire. Hostile decoy.
Hardpoint is active. have the hard point.
Ethan and Gila Klein talking about their opinion of the Palestinian.
Enemy sentry turret detected in your AO.
In their occupation, specifically of Ramallah. This is her talking about the Palestinian of Ramallah in the
Watchdog Hilo incoming.
Enemy watchdog.
Planning on giving up. Do it now. If not, get to work.
Enemy watchdog field overhead.
Hardpoint identified.
Tally.
Hardpoint active. Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
Can't help themselves. They just have to look. Short little clip here.
All operators to your nearest CCT. We just got our ass kicked.
Pull on the cord.
Held by white nationalists in Europe, the West, Australia, etc., where white immigrants are a demographic trend placed by them. Someone who chose to move to Israel in order to solidify its Jewish majority, saying that Palestinians should not be allowed to return to their stolen land and homes within Israel proper, because they would be, according to him, be trying to move as many people in there as possible. The irony is, he can go to Israel and become a citizen and go and live in some formal land, but Palestinians cannot return to the land that they are actually from.
But if you're in one state, all that's going to happen is like everybody is trying to bring as many people there as possible. And
Ethan claims that Palestinians are basically like Confederates, like they're the same as Confederate slave owners for wanting their land, their stolen land back, their stolen country back.
To me, it's like
for fighting back against their oppressors.
You can make the same argument about the Confederate flag, where Southerners will be like, listen, it's just about our heritage, you know what I mean? That has nothing to do with racism. And maybe, and some people do believe that, right?
Now, Ethan is going to claim throughout this video on Hassan that he's pro-Palestinian. I'm not exactly sure how someone who is pro-Palestinian would frame pro-Palestinian slogans as analogous to the Confederates. You would think the exact opposite is true. Like, Israel is the party here that is analogous to the Confederates. Ethan Klein clearly does not think that. Here is Ethan Klein being virulently anti-Semitic. And this is very relevant because Ethan is very, very, very willing to weaponize claims of anti-Semitism, dishonest claims of anti-Semitism against others, when he clearly does not care about anti-Semitism at all. His Jewish identity is only important to him insofar as he can weaponize it to get out of pickles that he's gotten himself into. When he sees people who are actually like visibly Jewish, who are actually really super immersed in Jewish culture, this is what he thinks of them.
And it's the home of the Jew, the Jewy Jew, not just this Jew like, you know, me or Ela, but this is home of the super Jew. The Jew, you know, the dirty, grimy, jacket-wearing Jew. Real dirty ass, nasty. You know what I mean? It's like, who can look more Jewish? Boom. It's like it doesn't end. I mean, come on.
Is Ethan Klein denying segregation? Denying segregation of Palestinians, which is like just an incontestable fact. He denies it.
By the way, segregation is not real. There's 20% of the population in Israel is Palestinian, full citizens, integrated in all levels of work and life there.
Same exact narrative of the Jim Crow U.S. South, by the way. Here is Ethan denying the mass rape of Palestinian women by IDF soldiers on the basis that he feels like it's not true, something that he does constantly, seems to just only care about his feelings.
I think one of the reasons as to why it is not as widely reported on is gag orders. You can remove them from time to time like it happened here, but
there's no evidence for that I'm aware of.
It's not incredibly well documented.
He says there's no evidence for this as the evidence is on the screen.
It's not as incredibly well documented as some of the other things that Amnesty International has access to on the ground.
It's just, I don't know. It rubbed me wrong a little bit. It's just a big claim to make, and I just...
Later on, claims of like mass rape of Israelis by next to no evidence. He doesn't even feel like he needs to present evidence for it. But in cases of very real evidence, like the Israelis literally admitting it between themselves, these Israeli officials admitting this between themselves, he feels like there's not enough evidence and that you just shouldn't say it because he feels like it. Ethan Klein's saying that Palestinian slogans about reclaiming the land that Israel took from them in its settler colonial project are anti-Semitic genocide. A principle that I wonder if he would apply in other circumstances that he brings up constantly, like Ukraine and Russia, for example.
Literally is saying that we need all of Israel must be ours.
See, I think that's part of the problem is that people don't necessarily understand what some of this stuff means.
Yeah.
Like Olivia probably doesn't even know what.
Here is Ethan Klein and Hila Klein telling us how awesome Yoav Gallant, who is the architect of the Gaza genocide, and how he's such a good guy. This is someone indicted for basically every single possible crime against humanity that you can be by a world court, which is heavily biased towards the US and Europe. How bad you have to be an Israeli and get indicted by a court that is basically just a puppet court for your allies in the first place. And this is what they had to say about him.
Yeah, Bibi talk a lot, and Bibi's become a lot like Trump.
Yeah, Bibi's his guy. They're like homies. Bibi's celebrating last night.
Just the other day, Bibi fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about.
Kill confirmed.
And that's
Another day in paradise, Black Ops.
Like these guys are talking about like the equivalent of like Heinrich Himmler in this way. They talk about it so they didn't love him. The architect of a fucking genocide, the prime architect of it.
We've taken control.
It's like a moderating voice in the war room.
Yeah. It's a moderating voice.
And he got rid of him, or at least a more moderate voice. I don't know anything about the guy. Just recognize his picture. He looked mean. I thought he was mean just because he looked mean.
Let's check out the Ethan Klein content. Let's all waste our time. Purely like unrelated to broader event stuff regarding Hassan Piker. I do not care about it. It's an hour and 3 minutes long. This video is probably going to end up being like 5 or 6 hours a minute. So, let's get started. Okay, Ethan Klein's
It's me, your old friend, Ethan Klein. It's been a while since we've last spoken. In that time, I've had 3 kids, all boys. I've lost 100.
This is something unrelated, but I just want to point out something that a lot of big...
What? Contact's down.
That's why he hasn't uploaded on this channel, and all he uploaded on it because he found a way easier way to do YouTube that requires basically no work on most of the actual work. You have to create anything original, or you're going to do that for celebrity drama and incompetently. So yeah, good job.
I pissed off 75% of the internet. Probably a lot of you guys too.
So he clearly thinks that
Spring mine spotted.
That he said it wasn't merely a joke. So I don't know why he'd bring that up. It's really not good for him to show this here when he's going to spend the rest of this video pretending.
Flash out.
Political ideologies is like a horrible thing.
Fire
I got a tattoo also, so I'm cool like that now. Left or right, I always thought that.
Enemy planting mine.
Enemy RCXD detected.
Premier
Mousetrap.
America has
Flash
much to do with
thrown.
its domestic policy as well. I think it's to do with what you do. I don't want your union to be more perfect. I want you to stop killing other people. And I would think that you would look at your country enthusiastically providing
Marching band, a bride that something kind of scary brewing in America. Communism. That's America.
So the scary thing in America right now, according to this guy who says he's like a pro-Palestinian left-leaning guy, is communism. It's communism, right? It's not Donald Trump in power. Donald Trump in power right now, dismantling the US government with Elon Musk. Like, he's not worried about that. He's worried about communism. He's worried about a Twitch streamer.
It's America to me. I started a show a couple of years ago with my acquaintance, Hassan Piker. You might remember him from such classics as
America deserved 9/11, dude. Fuck it. I'm saying it. Yeah.
It's true. How is that wrong?
Kill them. Kill those motherfuckers in a video game.
I think it's just so funny how he plays this to attack Hassan. And a minute ago, he played a clip of he himself calling to bomb like a bunch of conservatives.
I'm sorry. Holy shit. That's not what I said, you dumb cracker bitch.
And of course, the Leftovers podcast, which was our show, which we made broadly to goof on the antics of the right. Now, to be clear, I knew about all these edgy and controversial jokes at the time we made the show together, because who am I to judge?
There was Ethan Klein being a delightful human being.
I was just going to say, if there's another Holocaust, if they start rounding up the Jews again, I hope Ben gets...
Showing this stuff does not paint you in a favorable light when you spend the rest of the video pearl clutching about other people saying that those same sorts of things about the most abhorrent people alive. You understand that, right?
He presents himself as someone like me, a left-leaning Democrat.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. You aren't a left-leaning Democrat. You're literally pivoting to right-wing. Oh, I just can't. Like, I want to get to the facts, but it's such bullshit. You are not a left-leaning Democrat.
Supports basic things. And we went on making the show for about 2 years.
And Hassan does not present himself as a left-leaning Democrat. Hassan actually presents himself as like a far-left radical, and he's not. That's the problem. He's not a far-left radical. He's like a center-leftist.
Domination.
Like an
Secure the objective.
You can get away with being
Taking A.
And you're just wrong.
I'm on the objective.
It doesn't make sense that you're wrong about this too. There's no way you genuinely believe this. No way you didn't know this before. Because Hassan is a documented human being. Like
Bravo zone secure. Alpha secure. We've claimed the advantage. Now hold it.
Everyone was having fun.
Losing A.
Having fun. That was until this happened. We were doing our regular show, and for the first time I noticed an inordinate amount of radical, hardcore leftists.
We've lost Alpha.
So I'm a leftist.
Ready.
Securing Charlie. Control Zone C.
I think it's good that people can do
all objectives locked down. Hold the enemy back.
monetary success. I mean, that's what that means.
Driving RCX.
Destroyed your RCXD.
Losing B. We've lost Charlie. They're taking all zones.
That had to hurt.
I'm a leftist and I use communist as a pejorative constantly. I'm a leftist. Here's my
Bravo lost.
I'm going to just let this play until we get to a part where he actually makes it like a statement of fact on history or politics.
Enemy
Let's continue.
You're watching a capitalist pig. Deal with it. And then this happened. This comment from Hassan really started to sound some alarms in my head. If you're in a socialist country with multiple parties, and one of the parties is a capitalist party, which would surely exist, what would you do if that party...
Initiating objective control.
Bravo underway.
I'm taking this one.
Enforcement mechanism, and in that enforcement mechanism, I think like rehabilitation, which would include re-education as well.
Camps isn't disturbing.
Locking down Bravo. We've given up the lead. Bravo is ours. We're winning. Keep it that way. Losing Bravo.
I don't think anyone really knows. It's just like a negative.
Lost B.
Western enemy nations. He never said camps. He didn't say anything like that. Re-education camps.
They've taken the lead.
Enough. I mean, buddy, I don't believe in re-education. If you don't own capital, you're not a capitalist. Just to be clear. think you're one ideologically.
For communist states, war crimes, and genocides.
What do you call Crimea? I call it...
Incoming flashback! Subject, LDBR incoming. Hostiles have a field upgrade. We're losing Alpha. Hostile UAV established overhead. Taking B.
Where they just sort of play clips and they don't actually try to argue against the clips. They just
taking Bravo underway.
Accept that
taking C.
is bad and wrong, while the person showing the clip does not even make any effort to explain to you.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Carver requesting UAV.
Come on, let's go!
It's just total garbage.
I'm taking this one. Locking down Bravo. Incoming grenade! Lead secured.
Viable as in there is a...
UAV.
We're losing Charlie.
Justified. So the Russian annexation of Crimea, I made a video about that specifically, actually, going over public opinion in Crimea, what people there wanted pre-invasion.
Taking Alpha.
And my conclusion was that even if people there wanted to be a part of Russia, and outright annexation,
losing B.
Perhaps even something that should not be they want to, because otherwise you're opening a whole can of worms where if you get a vote somewhere, then
Bravo lost.
For Russian sovereignty over Crimea. Supports like U.S. sovereignty over Hawaii, U.S. sovereignty over New Mexico, Texas, and California, and Arizona.
Deliver care package on my location.
Because when Israel was what Hassan actually meant. Perhaps he meant it was justifiable, like there's an argument for it. If it's the second one, then I think he's wrong.
Threat down. Securing B. Objective capture underway. B locked down. Hostile counter UAV established above. UAV inbound. RCXD active.
Serve turrets online.
Losing Bravo.
Feudal slave mandate.
Hit them hard! Securing those days. Losing B. I'm on the objective. All locations locked down. Dig in and hold. We lost B.
I would expect Ethan Klein to present some evidence of this.
RCXD moving out. Taking B. They're taking C. Locked C.
This is a good way to describe Taiwan as well.
What Hassan said, he said
Locking down Bravo. Secured.
Slavery or serfdom. To work with no path. Besides the technicalities, Tibet was very much a massively hierarchy. With people in situation would say most of the population was in that state. The Chinese invasion and annexation abolished that state. Any sort of wider cultural homogenization.
Eyes on field upgrade.
And then Hassan continues on.
Losing Bravo.
As far as I know, I'm the one who invented it, and you got that from me. So nice thievery, Hassan.
Abolishing that, yes, I do think
Losing A. Locking down Charlie.
and killing, unfortunately not all of them, but a decent amount of slavers and defenders of slavery. This is violent.
Losing B.
A powerful
We've taken the lead. Stay on task. Location secure. Maintain current posture. Losing Bravo.
And Ethan says something about Tibet. I don't think he noticed.
TACOS, train requesting LDVR. We're losing Charlie. Bravo. Lost Charlie. Securing C.
Initiating objective control. Eyes on hostiles.
Cuba or something.
Here we go.
Losing B.
Our own. Whatever. We're going to keep laying claim to the mainland.
Driving RCX.
Acceptable. I think that such a state would be allowed to exist. Their own country would be in the wrong for trying to reclaim the land they stole or whatever when they moved away. That's basically the analogy. That's what I think Hassan was getting at, but
taking C.
The end of that didn't make sense. But again, Ethan.
Losing Bravo.
That, well, slavery was bad.
We're losing Alpha. We lost B. Locking down Charlie.
Genocide against their Muslim minority group, the Uyghurs.
Hostile UAV established overhead.
They were re-education camps.
Feel that? They're about to break. Give them a nod. Enemy UAV inbound. Losing A.
Hostile counter UAV. Flashbang out.
Charlie, lockdown.
Is that death camps in Xinjiang? There's actually no death camps in Xinjiang, and it's insane that Ethan would play that clip and
taking Bravo underway.
As like self-evidently.
They're already dead. Good job.
They never stood a bloody chance.
Claims that there are death camps, like industrial scale death camps, where people are massacred. I guess like he's imagining like something. So I guess it must be true. Like it seems plausible. I think you're kind of dumb. I think that he would follow it up with some sort of
hostile shooter.
On most things, let alone this. But all that he said in that clip is that there's no death camps. There's no death camps. That's all. There is a clip here where Hassan talks about an AP article that talks about how the Chinese oppression in Xinjiang had died down.
The Associated Press publicly fucking an article that didn't get a lot of coverage in mainstream media about how, like, okay, well, camps have been closed now. Like, all the re-education camps are closed now in fucking Xinjiang, and it's, like, very different.
Listen, the clip that he just showed is Hassan saying that there were concentration camps and there were re-education camps in Xinjiang. Right there in this clip. This clip is from 2021. You can tell because He's watching a hilarious clip of this Enes Kanter, this hilarious basketballer who just hates China. Like, he's not good enough at basketball to have a career afterwards, so he's trying to set himself up to be like a pro-US grifter. And he wore shoes saying no to Beijing 2022, the Olympics. You can tell the time frame of this clip then is that it's from 2021, 4 years ago. So 4 years ago, there was an AP article
Why did PBD invite your uncle and not you? He's afraid of the smoke, dude. Here's Unc on Patrick but David. Apparently, he also pissed off my favorite.
Answer me that question.
First of all, the border was not open.
Give me a. Are you kidding me? Look at the. What do you mean the border
Sam,
wasn't open?
Sam,
Hold on. Did you smoke before you came in here? That's ridiculous.
By the way, Vin,
anybody can look at that video. The things you were saying yesterday was a complete sack of lies.
The border wasn't wide open. How many deaths have happened?
That's the best part about it.
And that's the
because
definition.
they were told to come. Sam, let me explain something. When your president says come to the country,
just gonna yell all the time?
No, I'm not yelling. You just give me facts.
Can I turn down his microphone because
you can't? Yeah, just see which one he is. I think he's C3 or which one is it, Rob?
C3. C3. Go ahead, lower that there.
And then the mic.
Right there. There you go. Is that good? Is that good?
C2.
Oh, C2. There you go.
Okay, go for it.
All right.
Go ahead.
Good.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So
you're still gonna hear the truth though. So go ahead.
No, I'm happy to.
Yeah. Answer me that.
Dude, he got him so red. Last time I saw him that red was when he was facing off against me at Piers Morgan.
I feel like your heart pressure is going up. You're turning red, Vinny.
Somebody like you shouldn't be on this panel. I'm sorry for my language, Piers.
Why did PBD invite your uncle and not you? He's afraid of the smoke, dude.
Illegal immigrants that came those 4 years.
I will get to illegal.
You don't care about those people.
I will get to the undocumented.
You cared about children.
But you don't want to talk about this, and I don't blame you because it's embarrassing.
No. But let me do a quick time out.
Every one of those Social Security numbers.
Do a quick time out here. Sam, let me just do a quick time out. You said you don't want to talk about this. You just spun away from a question I asked you, and you brought this up. You haven't even addressed the question I asked you. Wait a minute.
This is why your party sucks. Sam Cedar takes heat for defending Biden's open border policies.
So getting back to my point about those Social Security numbers, they were given all to legal non-citizens. And every one of those cards, you can't vote, because I think you definitely said, and I think maybe you said, that this is a Democratic strategy to get voters. Hold on for a second. The Social Security card that they get literally says not legitimate for voting purposes. It is so that these non-citizens who are legal, just like when you came in, pay into the Social Security system and get, many of them never get that money back. So in addition to the undocumented immigrants who pay in $22 billion a year into Social Security and get zero back, these people pay several $1 billion in a year, and only if they become citizens, which most of them won't. Most of them will go back home over a period of time. They're here for temporary protected status. Maybe some of them are refugees, and they get permanent citizenship. They won't get that money either. So every single thing of that video, this video here, was completely wrong that you guys did. It was fascinating to me because I feel like you, at the very least, I believe that you care about the information you're putting out. And this was all wrong. And
so they're up there. So Sam, this was all a lie. These guys were up there just completely.
I hate that the answer to this is yes. It's so sad because, like, I kind of get why, if you're a defender of this administration, you're like, oh, you mean to tell me that everything that this professional administration is posting about the ridiculous cuts to expenditures is a lie? And it's fucking sad that the answer is yes. Pretty much everything. It's either shit that they don't like and think is silly to spend money on, and that's a matter of debate. Fine. Or directly fabricated cuts, like just not a thing that was real, that or a program that no longer is continuing anyway. It's like a program where the budget for the program was like $800 million, and they've already spent like $799 million of those dollars, and they go, well, we just cut $800 million by ending this program. And it's like, no, you already spent it. You didn't cut shit. You cut $1 million. That's what you cut.
Bullshit with all the numbers. Where he's saying that people in the government are blowing the whistle.
And when you're talking about like non-citizen Social Security numbers, like, yeah, no, that's completely made up. Dude, Social Security, before they started firing federal administrators, Social Security is so crazy that if you died and you accidentally collected a Social Security paycheck, like hit your bank account and you died, they would take that away from you. Like, the government claws back every dollar. They take it out of your account directly. It's so funny that these guys are like, nah, there's just so much fraud happening. And in spite of all that, is there fraud happening? Certainly, of course. You know, it's impossible to combat fraud to a degree where there's just no fraud whatsoever, but it's marginal. The idea that there are, you know, tens of thousands of 300-year-olds in America or whatever that are collecting Social Security is fucking ridiculous.
So he didn't want to say their names. He was giving them praise. And for Sam, for you to say that you care about the kids and the labor and all that stuff. We've had an open border for 4 years, and all the illegals, way more than 10 million, have come into this country.
And they're moving away from Social Security to the illegals now.
It's unbelievable how many illegals have come in the past 100 days.
But this is the part to just be very, just show the data. Illegal immigration, this is Wall Street Journal, is a bigger problem than ever.
Oh, no, that's
These
fake
5
news.
charts explain why. Go a little bit lower. That's under Biden.
Trump got shot trying to show these charts, literally.
This is October of 2023. Go to the next one.
A guy who was registered Republican.
Here's another one.
I love the simple-minded thinking here. Trump got shot trying to show these. Yeah, the registered Republican was too scared of Donald Trump showing the truth about illegal immigration. That's why he shot him. I love that. It's just like loose association of things that happen, you know?
Domination. Pacify the AO, kill team.
Lower the data, Ron. No, because he said it's inaccurate.
Locking down Bravo. Securing Charlie. Charlie secured.
Illegal immigration.
They're taking C. We're losing Alpha. Not C.
Yeah, that means that automatically
Falling behind Crimson.
Many of those cases are actually legal.
Zone Charlie locked down.
My bond with the turtles is strong.
Taking Bravo underway.
The argument here is to process these people expeditiously rather than trying to
Most of the still packed.
Bravo is ours.
actually a benefit to the American economy. Not only a benefit to the American economy, they could offer more benefits to the American economy.
I'm taking this one.
Amnesty, Americans, by overwhelming numbers, choose conditional mass
Neurogas mine sighted.
options. The problem is Democrats never present that second option.
Bravo lost. Zone Alpha captured. A. Taking B.
Initiating objective.
It's in U.S. law.
We've taken the lead. Stay on task. We're losing Charlie. They're taking C.
Who are then in terms of
We're losing Alpha. Securing B.
Capture underway.
We're losing Charlie.
of these
We lost Charlie. Bravo zone secure.
That's a kill.
We lost A.
Grenade.
We're losing all zones.
citizens on day one. They came in.
Zone A secure.
It's determined that yes, their claim for
Ready.
That's what we're looking at there. As you scroll up the charts,
RCXD active.
Incoming recon.
RCXD has been destroyed.
Requesting recon above.
Come on, let's go.
Got contact.
Non-citizens and documented non-citizens are like also this is not so they can get social security payments.
Taking Bravo underway.
I'm on the objective. Hostiles gone.
B secured.
Driving RCX.
RCXD moving out. Taking C. All locations secured. Hold your positions. Losing A.
Sending incendiary.
Losing Bravo.
Think tanks, independent commissions, extensively looked at whether or not there is
We're losing Alpha. Bravo lost.
She's right.
Lost Alpha.
She is 100% correct. What the hell is going on?
That's what AOC said. So this is not.
Check one out.
Bravo zone secure.
Republicans seem to be better at that.
RCXD moving out.
So it's not like they can fight it and
Losing B.
Frag.
Which is why
Taking Alpha.
excuse me, you can't just make and
Losing Bravo. Location secure. Maintain current posture.
spew out these policies.
Flashbang sighted.
Problem with content creators have
Lost A.
they'll keep coming to us to want to hear more of it because they'll say, at least you sound reasonable. And they'll say, yeah, I want to hear what John has to say.
Losing B.
Hit them hard.
Lost B.
Get a UAV on grid.
A former watches that maybe was how can
Get counter UAV in the air.
Hostile user.
What the fuck is he talking about? PDB, BD, whatever the fuck. PB&J is the dumbest bitch on the internet. Shut up. Everything he says is dog shit. He should be mocked, ridiculed, pointed at, and never taken seriously. Thank you.
Locked down. Losing Bravo.
Sending incendiary.
Enemy UAV inbound. We're losing Charlie.
It was probably a terrible season for Trump. I think I can say.
Get a UAV on grid.
Incoming grenade.
Lost C. Securing C.
Somebody else. There was a
Losing B.
in the Republican Party on the map.
Control zone C.
Parties up today. Play this clip, and I want to ask you.
Using Archangel.
They're taking C.
1%
Losing A.
Initiating objective control.
Back on, I need eyes overhead.
Molotov out.
All objectives locked down. Hold the
Driving
enemy back.
RCXD.
You lost Alpha.
RCXD has been destroyed. Of Democrats, 49%, and just 49% approved.
Losing Bravo.
What is going on? I'll tell you what's going on. They don't like what's coming out of some of those Senate Democrats like Chuck Schumer. Take a look at the direction of the party. Democratic voters on Democrats in Congress.
Hostile stream on.
They never stood a chance. Proceed to extract Caesar.
Hell of an effort, everyone. We earned that.
65% is such a difference from where we were in 2017, just 33%. Principle compared to 59%.
Come mierda.
Hola, amigo.
Surveys and stuff are all watching me, I guess, because they sound like me. How did this happen? Holy Toledo was right, but not in the direction that Harry Anthony suggested. Holy Toledo was right because finally you got the Democratic base going, dude, what are you doing? Fight for us. What is wrong with you?
The ring like Muhammad Ali did against Sonny Liston. They want to take down. They do not want this compromise anymore. They want to be more like Republicans. Get it to that fight. And right now they feel like their leaders in Congress are simply not doing so. That is why their approval rating for congressional Democrats is at all-time low, even among Democrats.
You think Hunk is a Dem? Sam is a Dem. Are you kidding me? Sam Cedar is way more vote blue no matter who than me.
Sam, what happened? What happened to the Democratic Party?
Well, I should start by saying I always thought that Trump would be the nominee. And 2 years ago, I was wondering why Ron DeSantis was lighting his career on fire by trying to run against Donald Trump, to be honest with you. I think, Trump and the Republican Party, I think they're one and the same. And so that doesn't surprise me. Those numbers are some of the most encouraging numbers I've seen in the 20 some odd years I've been doing this, because I want to see it communicated to Democratic leadership that we want you to fight. And I've been riding Chuck Schumer for 10 years, trying to get him. I mean, Harry Reid was a great, I think, as far as they go, leader of the Senate for Democrats. But I think it's time for new leadership in the Democratic Party. The biggest mistake that Joe Biden made was following the American Rescue Act, which was a massive boon to the American public. We cut child poverty by 45%.
Team deathmatch. Green light. Go, go, go.
Child poverty by 45% in a year. And you know what Republicans were talking about? Two books that the Dr. Seuss publisher decided.
We got the lead. Now hold.
Good to see you, fucko.
Of ideas, and Joe Biden, instead of pushing through Build Back Better over that summer, he opened the door for the Republicans to give a proposal. That went nowhere for 3 months. Christian Sinema and Rob Portman to come in and give a proposal. Ultimately, I think, is when Democratic voters started getting impatient with Biden, because we were thinking Joe Manchin was saying $6 trillion bill.
Done and done. Heads up, frag. Hold fire. I'm on your side.
I think what we're seeing is frustration. elected Democratic official that's out there.
That's not a good sign for you guys.
100%. I agree.
I don't think they're normie questions. I think they're really contentious because they know the answer to it. But similar to Turk, tell us how to live.
Yikes. It's fucking awesome.
Enemy bomb stun.
Concussion grenade out.
It's uncivilized to have socialized medicine, but I want you to be able to get health care, make sure that you can retire at a reasonable age. I want the housing market to be fixed so that you know,
it costs you.
Eyes on Semtex.
make me. What is happening?
5 kills.
Hogwatch, because I want.
Kill. Do not fuck.
Why are you plugging that shit ass hat?
And I'm telling you guys, he is very smart. That's how the country was ran before taxes.
Oh my God, we are so smart. Oh my God. The scariest part of make up a shortfall for gutting in.
Spring mine spotted.
That doesn't overwhelmingly burden individuals in the working poor, in the working class, as opposed to the wealthiest people in society. That's the type of progressive taxation that remains, and it's already far too little in comparison to what it is. No more taxes. It's gonna be so. It's like, listen to me very carefully, okay? For the income taxes. Part of the reason why you want salaries back in your pocket, okay? None of the programs that it funds at the state level will exist anymore.
Flash out.
Thermal grenade.
Everyone on me! Go!
All the public resources that you take
RCXD rolling out.
magically there. You're funding it. So I guess we're just nuking America. Like, I don't know. We're doing nukes. We're financing our sanctions from the United States.
You didn't think I'd let that go, did you? Oi, enemy grenade!
Driving. It's not like you're caked up, Devin. The prospect of income tax. Oh, could this hurt Israel in any way? I hope not. I sure hope not, Chatter. Don't worry.
But
People who understand how shit works.
could be against that are the people who has truly never paid taxes. Before you complain,
Brilliant.
What, Deborah?
Communist nation state of common. still goes to Israel. Not most of it, but most of the police force, which is the domestic military force, and a lot of it goes to military R&D.
Incoming flashbang!
Okay? It's a good thing. God damn, dude. People are
Hostile LDPR dropped to 10. Ignite, don't let up.
Oh my god. Oh no. We are so freaking cooked, dude.
Falling behind.
The real Americans. I want to hear from the Americans.
There's a spy in our ranks. Watch your six.
Saying about
Guess I chose the wrong people for the job. My
Thought
bad.
Weaver said you Black Ops types knew your business.
It costs you nothing. In fact, it builds quite a bit of character. In fact, you.
Crying?
Losing your character? It's just that there's a boom and a bust every 10 years, and it's been that way since the invention of modern markets in the 1600s. The Dutch crash of 1649. Heard of it? It's the way that it works. It's the way that like monetary policy has always worked. Ups and downs, especially as the table.
Oh my god. Yeah, look at the Great Depression. It just happens and it's fine. And it's okay. You shouldn't say that unimaginable pain that comes out of that is anything but a character building moment. It's just simply an opportunity for you to learn how to make water soup. That builds character. Ketchup sandwiches, a character building operation. Think about that. Amazing to think people like this have friends that don't say, "What are you talking about, dude?" Well, he doesn't have any friends, just dick appointments.
Your town gets hollowed out and your entire neighborhood gets addicted to opioids and your steel mill shuts down and your farmers can't grow crops and there's no more cattle ranchers, there's no more cowboys, there's no more fishers, there's no more workers.
Hyperinflation, period of hyperinflation incoming, a entire generation of war veterans that have no jobs, okay, and no economic prospects, the erosion of due process and other civil liberties, a process in which you are expeditiously denaturalizing and removing people from their citizenship status. Welcome back, Adolf Hitler. This is what's going on, okay? Welcome back, zestier Adolf Hitler. Straight up. Hitler was zesty? Yeah, I'm saying Hitler was zesty. Trump is even zestier than Adolf.
This is West Virginia. And it's so sad that this was a factory that provided thousands of honest, good-hearted, steel-working jobs.
Dude, it's kind of funny that virtually every single person that has funded Benny Johnson is more responsible for that photo than anyone else that he's talking about here. Like the people that directly fund Benny Johnson so he can implement this right-wing project are straightforwardly the only people in American society that are responsible for this. More so than even the Democrats and the Republican politicians, okay? And certainly a lot more responsibility falls on their hands than random Malaysian and Chinese people, okay? It's not the Vietnamese government. It's not the Chinese government that did this. It is the people that he is tasked with defending that did this. His entire purpose on planet Earth is to sit there and make the remaining fans of his, the Benny Johnson heads out there, not recognize that reality by reshifting their attention to trans people or undocumented migrants or woke or whatever the new hot thing is to get mad about. That is literally all he does. That is what all Republicans do. That's what Democrats do as well in a different way. This right here, what you're watching right here in and of itself is also repurposing that same propaganda.
For our fellow countrymen. And it was ripped. The guts of it got ripped out and shipped by people like Mitch McConnell so that they could make a couple extra points in their portfolio.
People like Mitch McConnell, brother, you are serving the same masters. You're a part of the same party. You have the same ideology. You have defended Mitch McConnell your entire career. These guys are insane.
To get stock swaps with Pan-Asian countries. And they sold out their countrymen, and I call that traitorism, actually. I think that's the definition of a traitor. You can lose money. You can lose points in your portfolio. It costs you absolutely nothing. You won't miss them when you're dead. Nobody ever had their net worth carved onto their tombstone.
Rip Benny Johnson out of this equation and put like Jason Unruhe in his stead, and the argument doesn't even need to change. It's who he is that makes this ridiculous. Because what he's saying is not ridiculous. What he's not saying, on the other hand, what he's omitting is the part that is disingenuous, okay? Because, yes, Mitch McConnell is responsible for this. Yes, the Democrats are responsible for this. But they did this at the behest of capital. That is the major problem here. Benny Johnson, who has defended those masters and has defended those interests his entire career, is now making a heel turn because he's playing catch up and trying to defend Donald Trump's decisions. But what he's saying is not wrong. The problem is it should be anti-fascist, anti-capitalist, worker-backed party that is supposed to be a counterbalance against the reactionary, hyper-capitalist forces in this country, and we don't have that. So in the absence of that, the absence of the Democratic Party representing that, you have these Republicans try and fill that void.
What will matter is preserve your nation for your children.
Okay, never mind. This part is also white supremacist callbacks. He said what really matters is, did you preserve your nation for your children? He's doing 13 words, not 14. You know what I mean? Just one word missing from that. The word that's missing is white. That's it. That's the famous 14 words that he's doing a callback to without saying white.
Did you?
It's 13 because just give it the one more and you are on.
Slaves to China?
You're on the Nazi train.
Put that up.
Choo-choo.
There's no crying in the casino. Is it really? I don't care. It's too good. Final point I'll make on this is, who's the slave and who's the master?
He's like, we must remember the dialectic. The bourgeois capital-owning class has designed our political economy to suit their purpose. This inherent contradiction will inevitably get to a point where it's unmanageable. I'm Benny Johnson, and I approve.
Your pharmaceutical and automobile and phone, all the wires in your home, every electronic in your home, if everything that you use in your life is wholly and totally built by a foreign power that hates you, then you're the slave. You've always thought of America as the master of the world or as like an empire, but it's not. Not if we are totally dependent and on our knees before these third world goblin dictatorships. So it's time for a total reset. It's time for them to know who's boss.
These guys went from the Great Reset is happening by the World Economic Forum to the Great Reset is happening and it's good.
And it's time for us to be the master once again. That's the point of this country, actually, to be the master of our own destinies.
A somber tone from Benny Johnson. Very different attitude, very different approach. Now let's look at the other side of it.
Kill confirmed.
Who hasn't forgotten who pays their checks? Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is having...
Nice. We're going ahead. Lead dart.
CXD.
Archangel, going in. Using Archangel. Enemy UAV inbound. Archangel making noise.
Stuff too. I want that. Like I want that. And then
Net call. Enemy watchdog kilo inbound. Shipwreck. LDPR incoming. Hostile UAV established overhead. In your AO. You gonna let a bunch of company assholes beat you? Fight back, damn it! Net call, napalm strike inbound. Enemy UAV inbound. Mission shit to pull the plug.
Gotcha! The fuckers had us in a box from the start.
And get us a little bit of a better deal with some of these trading partners so that we're not balancing the back.
I am not a fan of the 10v10 mod code. It's just not in this game. I liked it in other games. In 2019, nothing better. Black Ops, what number are we on? 6? Hey, 10v10 ain't so good. Well, it's a bit much. A bit much. As far as the current meta, spawn, and all that stuff, it's a bit much. I'm gonna take it off my list. Thank you.
Yeah, of course this guy is saying it. It's like one of the areas of surplus that they can actually force other countries to purchase. Trump is going to go back to every one of these like European nations and be like, you have to lower your restrictions on what kind of food
Look
is
sharp,
allowed
people.
and
We're on
only
company
purchase
time.
American beef, I guess. Everyone has to eat the hormone jacked beef that we sell. Everything is burger.
Yeah, I think he highlights a point, Ainsley, that I think shouldn't have to be highlighted is they don't want tariffs. That's not something that these communities want, but they're saying they're getting screwed over. And why are we accepting products with no tariff on it, and the other countries are putting tariffs on our beef? And I think that's what it's gonna come down to. All these mom and pops, all these local businesses, whether it's the steel, the farmers, all the other producers, they're saying that it needs to be some give and take here.
Yeah, it needs to be free and fair, and that's what Donald Trump says.
It needs to be free and fair. I guess the free trade agreements that we did prior was not free nor fair, which is true. They weren't, but not in the way that these ass are talking about it.
Made me less of a good journalist. Yeah, less of an objective journalist, for sure. And then I had to tear off the friend Band-Aid and put on the journalist hat, and that was really hard to do. And if I had just been a journalist the whole time, maybe I wouldn't have gotten the access.
Yeah.
But it would have been more honest. Instead, I was his friend. And he was mad with me because he only saw me as a friend. And I was mad with him because of all this bullshit that I felt like was hidden.
Yeah.
And was masked. And when it came out. So you can give me shit for drinking the juice, Jeff. I'm going to take this Kool-Aid home. But I want you to sort of appreciate the fact that
start dwindling down, maybe do a lower dose each day before you got to get off that stuff.
We're still talking about the juice.
Yeah.
I just push back because I would love to understand how you think it's, me drinking the juice because of the fact that I've never had anything to do with the guy. And when I talk about this idea of
just saying things like what you did in that interview with that guy. I don't know who is that guy, because you don't do a lot of podcasts.
No, he's fantastic. His channel's fantastic. He used to work at YouTube.
He got good questions out of you.
Really good
got
questions.
You some backlash.
But was there other than
your
what we
answers?
talked about?
No, from just like saying things about that he was the best comedian.
Oh, well, just about David stuff.
Yeah, just like that stuff.
Yeah, so
you not releasing the doc for the sole purpose that you feel the need to protect.
Yeah, I never said that, Jeff. That's a total mischaracterization. And I still don't know why I don't put it out there. I think it's because maybe some part of me, as much as I'm ashamed to admit it, is because I still very deeply love and care for David. And maybe it's about protecting him.
Casey Neistat does admit shortly after that maybe not the entire reason, but a piece of the puzzle as to why he has yet to release the film might be that deep down he feels bad for David Dobrik.
You said that in the...
That's part of it. And it's a nuance. The hard part with the internet is being honest and being nuanced.
Yeah.
Because people don't want to hear it. They want to take absolutes like that. And that's not an absolute. When I think about that movie, it forces me to confront all of the bullshit that I just expressed. And then that evokes a sense of doubt in me. And this is real. And this is me being honest and me being vulnerable. And this is the same thing I would say to you if none of these cameras were here or anyone that asked me.
Of course.
Why isn't it out? And it's maybe there is some part that's like, I don't want to have to confront this story. Maybe there's some part of me that feels guilty because the reason why I had that access is because I was their friends. I was David's friend.
Yeah.
And he gave me all this access.
Yeah.
And then in the end, I used it to make a movie that told the truth that he didn't want out there. That's f***ed up. But like, I'm just being honest. Like, there's some tiny bit of doubt in me that thinks maybe the reason why I'm not more aggressive in getting this out there is because of that. Is that me protecting him? If you see it that way, then there's nothing I can do.
I'm just going off words that I actually heard.
I can understand why he would feel that way. I can understand why he's filled with all different sorts of guilt over the situation. But what I cannot understand is how that would stop him from releasing the film to the public, which covers real-world crimes that need to be brought to light. Maybe there's extra details I'm not aware of. There are certainly details I'm not aware of. But from a journalistic standpoint, from an artistic standpoint, I do not respect that decision by Casey Neistat. And Jeff's audience is seemingly on the same page. Calling yourself a journalist while refusing to publish your journalism is bizarre. The role of a journalist is to tell the truth objectively without being influenced by personal biases. You tell the truth even if it's ugly. He interviewed a victim of essay, made her relive the horror just so her story won't be told because he just isn't feeling it. Halfway through the pod and not really keen with Casey, he reminds me of a politician and says whatever he thinks the person in front of him wants to hear to keep the peace. Asking himself questions and answering them is so politician. Holding on to this footage for 3 years now, while at the same time explaining in interviews that the reason it's not out is due in part to the fact that you kind of feel bad for David, is just not a good look. I don't know what else to say. It's just not at all admirable, especially coming from someone claiming to be doing journalism, someone I looked up to. Say what you will about the whole situation, but I personally don't think it's the worst of it. I've looked up to Casey off and on for a decade at this point, and while many of these things I was able to look past or find an explanation for in my head, this last subject is what really made me change my mind entirely on Casey Neistat and change the way I see all of his past doings. The way he talks about Palestine.
That charter makes it clear it's not about land. It's not about helping the people of Palestine live prosperous or happy lives. It is about Jews. These are not freedom fighters. They're racist murderers.
It's now been a year and a half since the
Liberal Zionists suck.
conflict, but was an event that certainly accelerated what Israel had been doing for nearly a century. Casey Neistat is without a doubt not a political person, at least on the internet. He's made a very successful career for himself for that reason. I mean, the last time he tried to make some political
Team deathmatch. All targets declared hostile. Apprehending Crimson.
Still, it wasn't.
Very popular YouTuber who made a video a couple days ago.
Hillary Clinton, I will be voting for
Such a good basically threw her in the ass and gave her a reach round. I mean, frankly, I even respect it a little bit because I know it can be so difficult.
Are you following me?
Towards the end of the video, he gets into this.
We're winning. Keep it down. Charles reclaimed the lead.
Telling people to ask their to get a spine and back.
We claimed the advantage. Now hold it.
I want to end this by calling out all the big YouTubers. Some I know and... There is something much more... And that's backbone.
Kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
That all changed after October 7th, when 4 days after the fact, on October 11th, Casey Neistat released...
Don't break me!
Look at this guy.
Keep it that way.
That's me in Israel and in Jerusalem in 2000.
You're falling behind, Crimson.
If you're Jewish, you get to go on this free trip called Birthright Israel. It's fun. It's like summer camp. Cool stuff. Learn. It's like a field trip. It's great.
Israel is an ethno-colonial project, and that free trip that every Jewish person gets to go on if they decide to live in Israel, or even better, fall in love with the attractive it's just a fun summer camp for Casey Neistat.
Birthright in a campaign urging the group to, in its words, accountability for the Israeli occupation.
Pretty nice to see you again.
Hostile scout post in your AO.
Target's eliminated.
Something unexplainable, like a home.
The Israeli racist law that borders on apartheid.
Birthright has an experience.
Fuck you.
Got you. Hostile grenade!
This is some shit I've never seen. Wow. You should have busted this out earlier, North Star Comrade Casey.
We've claimed the advantage, now hold
A
it.
friend that's not really my friend, but I wish it was my. Hey, be my friend.
Fuck you, asshole.
Summer camp. You go to Israel with a bunch of people your age.
I've all seen the movie Zone.
We've given up the lead.
I have not seen that movie, and I probably should. Zone of Interest. Remember that.
Nana's house. You know, I was going to synagogue on holidays because that meant I got to skip school. When I was a little bit older, like maybe when I was a teenager, I remember Steven Spielberg's Schindler's List coming out. And I remember this was like a very true to life depiction of what actually happened here on Earth. A graphic in your face representation of the Holocaust. And I remember watching that movie.
Push them back!
That's your ethnicity. And to hate someone because their politics or who they choose as their guide, who they are. As a kid, I never understood why the bad guys hated them so much. It made no sense to me. And I'm older now. To hate a people just because of who they are still doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. And look, the situation in the Middle East is complicated. The complicated is a word.
Israel, Palestine. There's nothing complicated about it. Instead of me explaining it, here's the.
Someone with a Jewish background, how do you feel about the Lebanese plan for Israel, especially?
Deploying RCST.
Mine.
Absolutely necessary. My Jewish values teach me.
Are you not concerned about the binary between Israel and really people agree with versus like, you know, seeing this as more of a complex issue where it is wrong
it's not a complex issue. That's the big thing. Super simple. Enormous power. It's the most powerful country in the Middle East. It's backed by the United States. It acts on another population of people with total impunity and is never held accountable for anything. So there's no symmetry in the relationship. And just as like a thought experiment, IDW people.
They're walking all over you. Damn pride.
They had an embargo, over 48% unemployment rate, life expectancy,
Incoming grenade!
Policymakers in this hypothetical Arabic Palestinian state said we need to West Bank. There was another Jewish area where there was a little bit more autonomy. Arabic settlements. Terrorized them with broke children's bones. We'd all have no problem understanding what that was.
Come on, let's go!
You read about in the Bible.
Operating RCXD.
Fought over Jerusalem.
Rest and recuperate. Tomorrow you'll be running drills until you drop.
What a mess. Let's get the hell out of here.
It's nuanced, it's complicated, and despite the world's very peace, no one seems What's not complicated, though, is what happened last Saturday when members of Hamas set out on a mission with a singular goal to kill as
October 7th. October 7th at this point might be more notorious than 9/11. Bold statement. Maybe not in America. I don't know.
Jewish women.
It's second. We'll give it us close second.
Wars existed for all
And in the honor of my God King Hassan Piker, Israel deserved October 7th.
history. And all war is violence. There's not much morality in any of it. But there's a reason why history singles out the truly reprehensible. And when it comes to walking door to door, shooting families in their homes, or killing 260 young people at an electronic dance music festival, a lot of those 260 innocent young people were shot in the back as they were running away. Or kidnapping a young woman, violently raping her, and then parading her through the streets to cheering crowds. Or finding out yesterday, a confirmed report that about 40 dead babies were discovered. Some of them still in their cribs.
This rumor about 40 dead babies got a lot of motion post-October 7. So much so that Sleepy Joe himself made the claim at a press conference, not only claiming that it happened, but claiming that he saw the evidence.
I never really thought that I would see and have confirmed pictures of terrorists beheading children.
It's honestly scary that Casey Neistat reiterates how this was a confirmed report, when in absolutely no sense of the word was the crime confirmed. It was simply a rumor spread by I-24, a prominent news channel in Israel.
There's no moral equivalency here. There's no yeah, but. There's no justifying that kind of barbarism because of a cause. It is horror and demonic and the very worst that any humans, are capable of.
Yes, any violence against civilians is unacceptable. But without analysis of the situation, the power structure at hand between an oppressed apartheid state and those being oppressed, the only conclusion that you can come to is these Arabs are anti-Semitic.
I'm making this video not because I'm the best person to deliver this information. Read the news if you want to know what's going on. I do not have a deep understanding of the geopolitical situation in the Middle East or some naive answer to a conflict that is thousands of years old. And despite this awesome...
I love that shit. Even the late, great Jimmy Carter who was pro-Palestinian. Excuse me. The claim that this conflict is thousands of years old is such dog shit. Dog shit. When was the well, it's basically about as old as World War One. Sorry, that didn't happen 1,000 years ago. It didn't happen 1,000 years ago. That area known as Palestine, but it was under the Ottoman Turkish Empire for hundreds of years. Jewish people lived there peacefully for hundreds of years. Oh. It's true. Look it up. So this idea that this conflict between Israel and Palestine is thousands of years old is dog water, dog shit lies. They want to frame it like that because they want to frame it like this all started back in King fucking David. You know what? I mean, we're approaching mythology like territory. This is like Greece fighting. I forget which Greece and Roman had ancient gods had same yet different. Which one was Jupiter and which one was Zeus? Can't remember if Greece was or was the Rome. You know what? I'm looking at it. Zeus. It's easy. Once I know who Zeus is. Greek. Oh, okay. So Greek is Zeus and Roman, the Roman gods. Jupiter. Jupiter God. Jupiter v Zeus. Here we go. Jupiter and Zeus are essentially the same deity, representing the sky and thunder god, but with different names. Thank you, AI. Who's this? I forget the Google's name for their AI shit. But with different names in Greek and Roman, respectively. I forgot how I got on this subject. I'm gonna make a new. I log in. I thought I already signed up for this. Oh, okay, I'm in. DeepSeek. In case I have any questions. Let's see Hassan talk in DC. Let's check it out. That's pretty awesome, dude. To be honest. Some booze, but of course you do. There's leftists there.
That's gonna be a hard one to follow. Wow.
Not a show.
That's why I'm here today, to speak about love in some ways. I feel so emboldened and so galvanized seeing so many people out here demonstrating for a free Palestine. Something that I never thought I would be able to see so many people out on the streets. And
It is pretty sick. It is sick.
and the inhumanity of the Zionist regime and the American government's unconditional support for Israel's genocide of the Palestinian population. Now, I've spoken on this matter every single day, as have you, so we've said everything that must be said 1,000,000 times over. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet, also because I didn't really prepare for a speech, I'm sorry. What I want to say is this. Right now, this Trump administration has severely escalated the erosion of civil liberties for all Americans. Every single one of us. You have people getting black-bagged in the street, disappeared, for the crime of speaking the truth. And that is precisely the reason why you demonstrating here matters. We must never allow these fascists to take away our voice, even if people don't recognize, even if people don't understand that one day they might be the ones who get black-bagged and sent to a slave labor colony in El Salvador without due process. We will fight for them too. Because every single person here understands the fundamental truth. None of us are free until all of us are free. So I want to end with that and say, free Mahmoud, free Hudayrah, free all of the political prisoners, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Your voices will not be silent. Thank you.
Oh, that was Eugene. That was Eugene Purier, who Ethan's gonna fucking cry about because he called the fucking people who music festival October 7th years. Washington. Okay.
Thank you, Rassan. How are folks feeling? Are we ready to march on ice?
He did great. That was really good. I'm not just glazing his. Honestly, like he finished strong. I thought it was well done. Internet Today just dropped a new video. You think they'll copyright strike me if I watch it? We'll see. Well, I mean, literally no one's watching. Yeah, 0. My connection's excellent. Dropping 0 frames. But you know, it's okay. I'm not here for, you know what? I'm a humble streamer. A humble streamer who streams to nothing. Just burning precious earth energy to send signal. It takes so much power, so much resources to happen for an audience of 0. America's already great.
Oh boy, there's a hell of a lot of news to get to today. And yes, a lot of it has to do with the fact that our big, dumb president has intentionally tanked the economy and is also letting Laura Loomer just show up at the White House and make serious foreign policy staffing decisions.
The same Laura Loomer that was kicked off of the campaign trail just a few months ago before Trump became president because she was so toxic to
Trump
be
is
around.
an agent of chaos.
The fans love her. You gotta bring back those fan favorites.
It is sweeps week after all.
She walks through the door. Woo! Yeah, but it is weekly weird news. So, we've been praying to the news gods to provide literally anything else for us to talk about. And the news gods have obliged.
Oh, okay.
Our and your number one favorite recurring topic on this show is, of course, the phenomenon of people with zero medical training or expertise posing as doctors, because it's equal parts horrifying and ridiculous.
Yeah, and you gotta have balls to do it. It's a very
really gotta believe in yourself. The saga of Malachi Love Robinson, aka Young Dr. Love, was our first encounter with this sort of thing. But over the years, it's become clear that actually an alarming number of people out there are just putting on a white coat, calling themselves a doctor, and successfully getting other people to believe them and trust them with their health and safety, which, to be fair, when someone tells you they're a doctor, you're generally going to believe them because that's an insane thing to lie about.
And people are, in real life, generally very trusting.
Yeah.
To a fault, to where that's how scams happen. Now, usually fake doctors come along once every few months or years, but this week we have been blessed with not one, but two fake doctors.
Two fake doctors.
Is this a recession indicator? Two fake doctors in 1 week?
I think it might be.
And let's begin with the one down in Malachi Love Robinson's home state of Florida. Meet Dr. Wilson Munoz, who, based on his website, seems to be mostly in the business of selling people expensive collagen and weight loss supplements. The site doesn't even list a physical location for a medical practice or advertise any medical procedures, but he does describe himself as a medical surgeon specialist in nutrition, whatever the hell that means. And he also has a TikTok page where surgical weight loss procedures are advertised, and he does appear to have an office with several employees. Now, who would lie?
He's a real doctor.
Yeah.
Give him the knife.
Well, it seems that this is where the victim that would end up sending him to jail found him and arranged for some sort of surgical procedure. So, all right.
I find all my doctors on TikTok.
Luckily, Trump just signed that order to extend TikTok in America.
Yeah, we need all these fake TikTok doctors. They'll be ruined if we shut the app down.
That's right. Well, here's Miami's Local 10 News.
According to the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office, an Orlando woman contacted Munoz in September after seeing him online and drove to Doral for a consultation. She underwent a cosmetic procedure at New World Medical and Mystic Cosmetic Surgery.
Wow.
Similar to Malachi Love Robinson's New Birth, New Life Medical Center.
Yeah.
New World Medical and Mystic Cosmetic Surgery at 2020 Southwest 1st Street. A month later, and recovered at a private home, deputies said. An MSDO arrest report doesn't specify the procedure in question. Deputies said she tried contacting him in December about her procedure. After multiple failed attempts, she again made the hours-long drive to Miami-Dade County to confront Munoz, the report states. Upon confronting Munoz, she began to explain her concerns about her results. He again physically examined the victim alone, an investigator wrote. When asked if someone else did the surgery, he admitted to performing the surgical procedure.
Oh.
The meeting was captured on a video recording by the victim.
Deputies said they confirmed with the Florida Department of Health that Munoz was not licensed in the state. The About Us section of his website mentions that he began his career in medicine in 1999, but lists no information about a medical degree. He wrote in the section that he achieved great recognition throughout the national territory, presumably a reference to his home country of Venezuela and the rest of Latin America, including Colombia and Panama. On Wednesday, deputies went to his home in the 3600 block of Esteponia Avenue to arrest him on a charge of practicing medicine without a license. But they said his subsequent actions would add a second felony and 3 misdemeanors into the mix. Authorities said when they asked Munoz to step outside, he tried to close the door on them, leading a deputy to grab him. They say he proceeded to tense up and pull away. Deputy said he then put his elderly mother in a chokehold as he tried to use her as a shield. They said they then grabbed his arms to stop him from harming her. He continued to resist arrest, they said, but deputies were eventually able to take him into custody on the original charge. plus additional counts of battery on a person 65 or older, his own mother, a domestic battery, and 2 counts of resisting arrest without violence.
Without violence? I mean, I guess technically.
Using your mom as a human shield is a level of...
Not going to live that down.
No, the fake doctor stuff is real bad, especially performing surgery and examining people. Just everything about this is awful. But the pinnacle, the lead up, he really let it build.
He did. And he saved the best for last.
To use your mother as a human shield, like, not only did he use ChatGPT to write his whole website, he wrote the plot to his whole medical
And
career.
how would that even work? What was the plan here? How is using your mom as a human shield? What's step 2?
Yeah, because you're going to have to call her to bail you out after.
Yeah, I don't know. So
I don't think so this time. You tried to use me as a human shield.
And so close to Mother's Day.
I know.
So, wow, yeah, he really decided if they're going to arrest me for pretending to be a surgeon, well, by God, might as well add some charges for assaulting a little old lady who is also my mother.
Whoa.
Just add it all up.
You might don't do that. Do something fun, because like a lot of the excessive charges will probably get thrown out for the main ones.
Yeah,
so, like,
throw some poop at the cops.
Go get a bunch of scratch offs and see if you get lucky. I don't know.
And he had to come up with a crime at the last second here. Well, he didn't know they would.
It was, what do I got near me? My mom. So, yeah.
Anyways, we are very morbidly curious just how exactly Dr. Munoz mangled that patient so badly that she drove several hours to go and do a sting operation on him. It can't have looked good.
Also, yeah, right in the area of another Trump golf course. Dude, Doral is very well known for
It's the particles. They're spread throughout to the general area.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, up in New York City, we've got not just another fake doctor, but another fake doctor from South America, specifically practicing cosmetic surgery, who attracted his victim through TikTok. What are the odds?
It's almost like a lot of social media apps are just ripe for scams.
No, I don't think so. And this time we get a better sense of the kinds of work that a fake TikTok surgeon does. And it's horrifying. Here's the New York Times. A Queens man posing as a doctor was charged with assault and practicing medicine without a license after a woman went into cardiac arrest during a botched cosmetic surgery at a makeshift home clinic, according to an internal police report.
No, this is fine. I know you're used to maybe seeing like a very clean, well-kept.
Yeah, I cook my food right over there.
Yeah, and I'm sure I might have a snack in between.
Yeah, we got a couple cats running around.
I tend to get jittery if I haven't eaten in a while. You know, my blood sugar, it drops, so.
The man, Felipe Hoyos Foronda, 38, tried to flee the United States after the woman became unresponsive, according to the report. Officers caught up with him at Kennedy Airport last Friday, just hours after the operation, as he waited to board the first leg of a flight to Colombia, the report said.
This is even like awful, but also to be like, well, I fucked that up. I guess I should give up being a doctor.
Time to start a new life.
He's like a really fucked up version of Frank Abernathy.
Gave America the old college try. Time to go back to Colombia.
The old con artist just did the con for the money, not to actually do the fucking surgery.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with Malachi Love Robinson. Which puts him on much higher moral ground than either of these guys, is he never did like medicine. People would show up.
He did like exams though.
People would show up and something was definitely ailing them and they should have gone to a real doctor, and he would be like, dude, drink this water, have these vitamins, feel all good. So he was harming people, but he wasn't actively like practicing medicine.
Yeah, like this, you just take the money and you leave. You close up, then you go to Colombia. Yeah. You don't do the surgery and then go to Colombia. It's all backwards. Well, you don't have to do the work.
I'm curious, did he teach himself surgery through TikTok?
I wouldn't doubt it. It would not surprise me at all.
Maybe just ask ChatGPT. How do you do a Brazilian butt?
Well, with the other one, with the funky name, at that point you just put some like a colorful liquid together in a bottle and be like, yeah, I brewed this in the cauldron all night. Take a couple of sips of that, 5 or 6 Hail Marys, and next thing you know, you got the Brazilian butt lift you've been looking for.
Yeah, mystical.
Yeah,
we said it was mystical.
Well, anyways, the new article continues. The woman, 31, was taken to a hospital by emergency medical workers where she was intubated, according to a criminal complaint filed on Saturday by the Queens District Attorney. She had no brain activity, the complaint said, and she is not likely to survive. It was unclear who called 911 to report her condition. The woman, who has not been publicly identified, had come to the clinic to have her buttock implants removed, according to the internal police report. Prosecutors said Mr. Hoyos Ferranda used a syringe to inject her with lidocaine, an anesthetic, and that her condition appeared to be consistent with lidocaine toxicity. Okay, so at least the first guy didn't fucking kill someone. Again,
this lady's gonna die.
Yeah.
Because she wanted her butt implants taken out and found someone on TikTok who said he could do it if she just swing by his house.
Do you think he was like, okay, if someone asked me to put something in, obviously I'm not going to be able to do that. But like removing something,
how hard could it be? Yeah, you just cut them open, take it out, beep, bop, boop,
done. Anyways, the first guy also at least had a medical office. This guy was doing surgeries at his house. He passed the savings on to you. You want the big medical building? Well, it's going to cost more.
I feel like with all medicine, but particularly cosmetic medicine, like cheaper is not better. It's not. You shouldn't be shopping around for the best deal.
I will say, like, this is all horrific because a majority of this is like industries that prey on women and make them feel like their bodies aren't perfect.
Yeah.
And they seek out these treatments and sometimes can't afford them, so they do go to cheaper things. It's a very predatory industry and very bad.
Sure.
But anyways, the article notes that this is becoming a big problem in New York, with other fake unlicensed medical practitioners seriously harming people and sometimes even killing them. So the lesson here would appear to be, you would hope, a simple one. But another one that has to be written in blood first, I guess. Don't go looking for cosmetic surgeons on TikTok. You know what? Don't go looking for surgeons on. Don't look for anything where it's going to affect your body in like a direct physical way on TikTok, I would say. Especially if they tell you that, you know what? Why don't you come over to my place? We'll do the procedure.
Yeah, just lay down there on the dining room table and get you all fixed up. Jesus Christ. Ugh. But moving on to another important lesson for the internet age. Don't go signing up for OnlyFans pages thinking that you're actually going to get some sort of one-on-one personal relationship with the women that you're cranking it to.
Don't go signing up for OnlyFans.
If you do, just know what you're getting into.
Thinking that the women are going to blow you.
Though much like not finding surgeons on TikTok, it seems like a pretty obvious lesson, but it's a lesson that some people are still learning the hard way.
We love learning things the hard way here in America. It's our favorite thing to do.
And two very horny guys are now suing OnlyFans over it. Here's 404 Media. Two former OnlyFans subscribers are suing the platform in a class action lawsuit, claiming that they were defrauded because creators allegedly weren't interacting directly with them, but were instead employing agencies to impersonate the models they thought they were speaking to. The plaintiffs, M. Brunner and J. Fry, both from Illinois, claim they thought the creators they subscribed to, some of whom have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, were talking to them in direct messages and video clips. Both also say that if they'd known they weren't speaking directly to the creators themselves, they wouldn't have subscribed, or would have paid less to subscribe. If OnlyFans stopped creators from using agencies to talk to fans, they would consider going back to spending money on the platform, they say.
These guys jack off together? Like, what's their deal? Why are they doing this together?
I don't know if they do it together, but they probably reach out to each other throughout the week. Hey, how's it been going for you? What have you been cranking it to?
All things considered, I think that at the very least, the fact that they appear to at least think that they're talking to an actual human being is a huge step forward in what I would have assumed was going on. I would assume that you just have an AI assistant on OnlyFans that talks to people and you don't even know about it.
I mean, I would imagine that is probably something that is increasingly happening.
Yeah.
But,
so, hey, you got to talk to a human. Might not have been a woman, might not have been in this country, might not have been a human at all.
But you got to feel like you were.
Yeah, and that's what really, that's what the value is.
That's what you paid for. You think she was sending you nudes personally? You fucking idiot, you child.
Do you think this is how they found out is because they were like, you know, she's talking to me. You know that girl you've been jacking it to? Yeah, I've been jacking it to her too. You know, she reached out.
It's kind of serious.
I must be pretty special.
Yeah.
You know, she has hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and she chose me to reach out to.
She's been talking to me, too. Oh, wait a second. She's talking to both of us, and she's got another 500,000 subscribers. That's just not possible. How could she be talking to all of us?
Do you think they...
Wait a minute.
Do you think they approached her about a potential polycule and found out that... that blew the lid off?
Hey, we're willing to share.
All right, well, it continues. The plaintiffs don't provide proof in the complaint that they were talking to agency chatters and not the creators themselves, but say they became suspicious after subscribing, including realizing that a single individual could not send the number of direct messages or videos that generating revenue from 700,000 fans in one creator's case would require. Plaintiff Fry created an account primarily in order to engage in friendly conversations with bullshit. I read Playboy for the article ass response.
I'm just looking for friends here.
I joined OnlyFans to make friends and have completely platonic conversations. This is the most I read the fucking articles.
Oh,
excuse.
you thought I signed up for OnlyFans to jork it?
I'll do the interview, but you better put in the paper that I did this for no reason at all. Okay, Plaintiff Fry created an account primarily in order to engage in friendly conversations with models and share photographs of his cooking creations, the complaint says.
When I cook something, I don't want any uggos telling me it looks delicious. I don't want any fatties saying it looks good. I want hot fucking chicks looking at my creations and saying, daddy, that looks so delicious.
I thought I was seducing this woman with my culinary skills. Turns out she doesn't exist. Fry alleges that he began to become suspicious of who he was actually communicating when he started getting contradicting information and errors in messages. By exercising its discretion to enrich itself while participating in the deception of its customers, OnlyFans consciously and deliberately frustrates the agreed common purposes of the contract and disappoints the reasonable expectations of plaintiffs and class members, thereby depriving them of the benefit of their bargain, the complaint states.
And the article notes that this is not the first case of its kind. A November 2021 lawsuit against Unruly Agency alleged that the company preyed on and defrauded fans into divulging their deepest and innermost personal secrets, including sexual fantasies and fetishes, marital troubles, suicidal ideations, and other private desires to account managers and senior account managers.
Woo!
In July 2024, 5 OnlyFans users also filed a class action complaint against OnlyFans' parent company, claiming that chatter scams defraud fans. Last month, a judge ordered that the case would go to trial in 2027. It's pretty low priority. We'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, guys,
we got other shit going on in the courts. Look, I mean, it seems like a very simple way to avoid all of this would just, I don't know, first of all, maybe try following some OnlyFans models with significantly fewer subscribers than 700,000.
But that one really likes the cooking.
I bet there's a lot of very attractive models on there just getting started off, and you can get it on the ground floor, and they might actually talk to you, especially if you become a whale for them. But you start following one of these chicks that's got nearly 1 million followers, you're not gonna give a shit. Doesn't care. There's 1 million whales in the sea. So anyway, just give us.
Hey, lower your standards, fellas.
I'm sure there's some very, very attractive OnlyFans models with subscribers in the hundreds.
I think it would be a better headspace to put yourself in would be that this is all, please remain in the zone, that this is all a fantasy. This is, I think it's more ethical than going to a traditional porn site because you're paying people directly.
Yeah.
But as long as
very worker friendly.
As long as you maintain the fantasy, then I think if you're an OnlyFans person that wants to do that, then that's fine. But realize that it's not real life and they're almost certainly not into you.
Like, I don't know, maybe just be happy with all the naked pictures that you paid for.
Yeah.
And accept that what you are buying is a fantasy.
Yeah.
Some of these women even have boyfriends and spouses. Are you going to sue them over that, too?
Probably.
Grow the fuck up, nerd.
God. And, like,
I go to the strip club, and these strippers, they say such nice things to me after I pay them to dance on my lap.
I mean,
and it turns out some of them were not telling the truth.
There's probably been a lawsuit over the years about that. We have to look it up.
Men are dumb.
And that's why they're easy to separate from their money through things like this.
They are.
Just enjoy the bot. Like, it's not going to break up with you. You just chat with it. Go nuts. Anyways, moving on now to some more recurring topics. Animals in Australia. Our understanding of Australia is that it is a place full of various wildlife that is actively hostile to human life, and getting lost in the Australian wilderness will lead to certain death. But apparently that's just for humans. Dogs can do just fine out there in the Australian wilderness, even the kinds of dogs that you wouldn't expect. Here's The Guardian. A miniature Dachshund that went missing 16 months ago on Kangaroo Island in South Australia has been spotted alive and well, but continues to evade a team of volunteer searchers and wildlife experts who say they are amazed the dog survived for so long in the wild. Yeah, you can't even catch it. That's how good it is.
Yeah.
Valerie weighed less than 4 kilograms. and had a pink collar and would never leave the side of her owner, Georgia Gardner, before she went missing in November 2023. Gardner said that she and her partner, Josh Fishlock, from Albury in New South Wales, were holidaying on the island, renowned for its native wildlife, when Valerie escaped from her pen at their campsite at Stokes Bay before running into the scrub. Despite initial sightings and the couple searching for a week with the help of Kangaroo Island locals, Valerie was not seen again until recent months. That's got to be a trip.
Yeah, I mean, most people at that point would safely assume that their little 9-pound wiener dog was toast. It's dead.
They've probably grieved.
You gotta go through the stages of mourning, but you're not. The dog's gone. Bye. But she not only survived, she's thriving out there. And the same skills that kept her alive out there have also made it impossible for anyone to catch her.
She's a hot dog.
This is my life now. Please leave. I think I'll stay out here in the Australian wilderness. I'm actually friends with all the spiders and snakes.
It seems to be going well.
So back to the article. About a year after she first went missing, the couple heard via social media that Valerie had been spotted on the island. Kangala Wildlife Rescue then volunteered its services toward Valerie's search. Based on first-hand accounts and video evidence, we now know that Valerie is alive. Kangala Wildlife Rescue wrote on its Facebook page last week. She runs at the first sign of humans or vehicles, and despite the best efforts of dedicated island locals, Valerie has been impossible to catch. The dog was last seen 15 kilometers from she went missing, which that's really, for a dachshund, a miniature dachshund, that's like halfway around the world.
Do you know how long of a xylophone solo you have to do?
Up and down that xylophone. According to the organization, it is now set up and is monitoring a series of traps with cameras in an attempt to coax the tiny dog out of a very large search area, Gardner told Guardian Australia. She said she and Fishlock were in disbelief when they were given news that Valerie had been spotted alive. It's been so crazy. Even with the really recent sightings, we were both just like, no, don't get your hopes up, she said. She never left my side. She was not a very outside, rough and tough dog. To think that she even went one night outside in the rain, oh my gosh. To think that she's gone a year and a half is incredible.
That dog belongs to the wild now.
Yeah, that's not your dog anymore.
The owners have separated.
She's moved on. She's found something primal and that she was lacking in her previous life.
And to be fair, like, I hope and trust and think that the dog will live a long and fruitful life based on its survival skills so far.
Something about that dog has equipped it properly.
It's bigger than one owner. It's going to be like a mascot to the island.
Yeah,
they're gonna rename it Kangaroo from Kangaroo Island to something.
I wonder if she's fixed, because what if a dingo mates with Valerie and creates a freakishly long dingo?
The dingo made my baby.
Yeah. Dingo with short little stumpy legs and a big long back.
Yeah. Sounds like a pretty cool pet.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, best of luck to them, but it sounds like Valerie isn't too interested in going back to being someone's lapdog.
Sorry.
I've had a taste of adventure, and I cannot go back. Valerie clearly prefers the great outdoors now, and clearly she knows what she's doing out there.
She's doing fine.
Survived longer than I would.
Yeah, I'd be dead after a day.
And honestly, you got to be a little bit jealous of Valerie, because we'd all much rather be wandering the Australian wilderness than stuck here in the United States watching the stupidest president we've ever had just destroy everything. Yes, he's pushed the big red button. It's Trump time. And now let's start with the long-dreaded return of loony Laura Loomer, the diaper-filling, handcuffing herself to Twitter headquarters. Somehow less than 50-year-old Laura Loomer, despite that face.
That face, I wonder if she found her doctor on TikTok.
Could be. The batshit insane right-wing influencer, Laura Loomer, who can truly claim the title of influencer more than just about anyone on earth, and that's because of her direct influence over the president.
She's doing influencing.
Now, a key difference between this Trump term and the first one is just how lazy the man has gotten. He doesn't have the spirit anymore.
You do it, I'm too lazy.
Which is even, it seems to be worse because
he was always lazy.
The evil people are
even lazier.
Doing what they want now. Yeah, he's happy to let the various nutjobs in his administration and the right-wing media ecosystem make his decisions for him. And this week, Laura Loomer showed up at the White House to make some staffing decisions for the National Security Council. And I guess to drum up more rumors about their relationship, which started last year.
That's true. That was a crazy week. It was like 1 week where suddenly she was flying around the country with him and hugging him.
And even then,
real
she was
cozy with
considered too toxic by the worst people in the
Everyone
GOP.
else on the Trump plane was like, listen, I believe in everything this man stands for, but this crazy woman has got to go.
And now she's in the White House. Here's the New York Times.
President Trump fired 6 National Security Council officials after an extraordinary meeting in the Oval Office with the far-right activist Laura Loomer, who laid out a list of people she believed were disloyal to the president, U.S. officials said on Thursday. The firings were described by one of the U.S. officials who had direct knowledge of the matter. The decision came after Ms. Loomer vilified the staff members by name during a meeting on Wednesday when she walked into the White House with a sheaf of papers attacking the character and loyalty of numerous NSC officials. Michael Waltz, the National Security Advisor, joined later in the meeting and briefly defended some of his staff, though it was clear he had little, if any, power to protect their jobs.
Yeah, he's in timeout currently.
It was a remarkable spectacle. Ms. Loomer, who has floated the baseless conspiracy theory that the September 11th attacks were an inside job and is viewed as extreme by even some of Mr. Trump's far-right allies, was apparently wielding more influence over the staff of the National Security Council than Mr. Waltz, who runs the agency. A longtime supporter of Mr. Trump, who has frequently spoken of her desire to work with him, Ms. Loomer was one of Mr. Trump's most vicious online enforcers during the 2024 campaign.
Last month, she started her own research and vetting firm called Loomered Strategies that she said would provide high-level opposition research for hire. The term refers to what she and others call getting loomered, which is when she targets someone either in ambush-style interviews or online. She has also tried to dig up dirt on officials from outside the administration, either because they've gotten in Mr. Trump's way or because she questions their loyalty. Some of Mr. Trump's far-right allies consider Ms. Loomer a useful tool for attacking common enemies. And the president has mostly admired Ms. Loomer's tactic. Speaking at an event in Mar-a-Lago, he once singled her out in the crowd. "You don't want to be loomered," Mr. Trump said. "If you're loomered, you're in deep trouble. That's the end of your career, in a sense. Thanks, Laura. Diddly-do." Got me.
When I hear like getting loomered, I think of like
Securing Charlie.
taking a big old shot of just sucking on a nitrous tank for 10 seconds and then taking a double shot of whiskey and then exhaling the nitrous, and then you feel pretty loomered. Something of that nature.
Yeah.
It sounds dizzy. Oh boy, I'm fucking loomered right now.
Well, woo! I think they get along because they both wear diapers.
What's her diaper story?
She wore a diaper when she handcuffed herself.
Yeah.
And then I'll take it from there. She was like, wow, this is actually pretty convenient.
Yeah.
So it became a regular thing.
Pooping and pissing gets in the way of loomering. I can loomer so much more if I let the diaper do that job.
Yeah, now, we don't know if Cory Booker's a diaper boy or not. He seems to have done the precautions to not be.
He claims that he fully emptied out his system before doing that, but I don't know. I feel like you'd still at least want a, diaper of last resort.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey, on the one hand, it's always nice when the right eats their own, but it's still fucking insane that this nut job is this hatchet face. It's just rolling up to the White House and telling Trump who to fire. Of course, insane in the context of this administration. It's quickly losing all meaning, considering Trump's insane decision this week to tariff basically all imported goods and trigger what's looking more and more like a self-inflicted recession, national and global.
Yeah.
The stock market has dropped by more than 10% in just 2 days, which is catastrophic and usually the kind of thing that is triggered by unforeseen circumstances, like a global pandemic.
Yeah.
Not by a decision by the president that is supposed to be doing the exact opposite of what's actually happening.
No, I put in I put it on fast speed mode on SimCity. We got the factories coming in no time. All those millions of small businesses are going to be building factories in no time.
Yep, they're breaking ground already. I mean, anyone with just a basic understanding, economics, Econ 101, you could have predicted that this is exactly how this would play out. Also history, because this exact thing has happened multiple times, exactly the same way. But apparently all the rich people who loudly supported Trump's return to the White House figured he was just joking with his constant yapping about tariffs and trade wars. And hey, yeah, this is going to suck for everyone. But it's at least a bit of a silver lining here that it does suck for those very rich people too.
Watching like very, very rich, powerful people, and also the world's economists, especially right-wing economists who appear on like Fox Business and stuff, watching them either completely avoid the topic or seeing that they have been more stressed than their entire lives has been at least somewhat of a band-aid on this gaping wound that an entire new generation is facing.
Yeah, they're having to do some real cognitive dissonance.
Well, the good news is millennials and Gen Z, we don't have much of retirement savings anyway, so
yeah, joke's on you.
Here's Bloomberg. The world's 500 richest people suffered the biggest two-day loss ever on the Bloomberg Billionaires Index as fallout from President Donald Trump's tariff announcement decimated markets across the globe. Billionaires on the wealth list lost a collective $536 billion from Thursday's stock market open to Friday's close as the S&P 500 index dropped 10.5% over the 2 days, and the NASDAQ composite fell 11.4%. No one lost more over the two-day stretch than Tesla Inc. Chief Executive Officer Elon Musk. The carmaker's stock plunged more than 10% Friday, dragging Musk's net worth down $31 billion from Thursday's open and bringing his yearly losses to $130 billion. Meta Platforms Inc. founder Mark Zuckerberg followed with a $27 billion loss as the social media company dropped almost 14% over the two-day stretch. Carvanaco CEO Ernest Garcia III's two-day loss of $2 billion was enough to push him off the list of the world's 500 richest people.
Bye-bye.
His used car retailer stock lost 28% over the period. Whoo!
Yeah.
Losing eight.
Yeah, not going to be buying a lot of cars. A lot of people who maybe were gonna get a new model, maybe gonna hold on to that old car a little bit longer.
While and look at anything that you buy regularly, look at where it's made and just assume that that's going to be extremely expensive in the near future. And just anticipate that.
Yeah, but including one very specific, highly anticipated product, which we will discuss.
Sure. Oh, okay. Now the thing with this that is like very frustrating to me is that throughout the first Trump term, the election, and honestly the first couple of weeks of his term, it has been obviously very frustrating to see Republicans or conservatives be completely content, okay, or at the very least look away from the morally reprehensible things that the Trump administration is and was doing under the assumption that the economy was going to be booming and that everything was going to be green skies forever. It's very magical. And they didn't even get that.
Yeah.
So all of the horrific stuff that they turned a blind eye to was not even worth it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So now you look even worse.
And the courts just Friday, the Supreme Court was just like, yeah, actually he can do whatever he wants. He can just stop money from going. He can choose where money goes. Congress, kind of redundant.
Yeah.
Don't really need it. President can do whatever the fuck he wants. Anyways, as dumb as these tariffs are, what if they were even dumber than you thought? What if the numbers on that big dumb chart that Trump unveiled before nuking the economy weren't even decided upon by human beings?
Oh, were that only fans creators?
Worse. Here's The Verge. When President Donald Trump began yesterday's announcement of the White House's latest trade policy, brandishing a novelty-sized cardboard sign labeled reciprocal tariffs,